recording. Hello, everyone. This is the fifth, but actually the fourth webinar from Hawaii TESOL. And these webinars are done in solidarity with TESOL Ukraine. And today we have a very special speaker who will be introduced by Sally Laluzen-Oy. Sally.
Okay. Hello, everyone. It's good to see you again. And I'm happy to introduce Joanne Powell. She's a new member to Hawaii TESOL, and I thank her for reaching out to me and offering to give this webinar to all of you. Joanne has held a number of positions in the Hawaii Department of Education. She is currently an English language resource teacher for the Leeward District in Hawaii, and that means the western side of Oahu. And as a resource teacher, she provides professional development and technical and instructional support for teachers of English learners in primary and secondary schools. There's a little bit more about her on the TESOL Ukraine website, so you can go there to read that. So without further delay, we're going to hear about sharing lessons and resources for ELs or MLLs. Joanne?
Sally, thank you for the introduction and welcome everybody. As Sally said, I'm Joanne Powell from state of Hawaii and very happy to meet all of you virtually and share a little bit of resources. Okay, and I'm hoping this will be, somewhat applicable to you. I'm not sure what grades everybody teaches, or if you're all university level, or if you are also K-12 teachers like I was. Okay, so I have a Pear deck. Please let me know if I need to repost anything. I have a slides link and also a Pear deck link I can repost. Okay, or maybe one of the kind people in the room can repost if anybody is saying they need help in the chat. Okay. Okay, so I do have this little Pear deck that I hope it works. And we do have some resources. I'm sorry, did somebody have a question?
No, it just people needed to be muted.
Okay, yes, please do mute unless you have a question, or you can put it in the chat. Okay, so we do have an optional sign-in. We have a slide deck. I'm just gonna, oh, hi, everybody's putting the comments in the chat. Sorry, to this. I'm just gonna repost the slide one more time because I think people are popping in. Okay, so we have our slides, and we also do have an exit ticket that I'll put at the end. And if you have any comments or suggestions for me, I always love to have that. If we do have any questions and I'm not able to get to that, I do have a sort of a parking lot Q&A doc here. So this document here. Okay, so it has all of the links, and as we go through different portions of the training, if you have any wonderings or any questions or responses or your own ideas, you're free to edit this doc and add as we go along. Okay. Okay, then hopefully we will be able to access this bank of resources and ready to use lessons that include scaffolds and or supports and improve language proficiency for English learners or multilingual learners, and then share resources or your own lessons. Oh, somehow I was muted. Sorry. Okay, I'm not sure if somebody's talking to me or not. Okay, if I need to do anything, let me know. Otherwise, if you could to mute so that we get less background noise. Okay. So in Hawaii, where I'm from, then we're a WIDA state. I don't know if some of you are probably very familiar with WIDA Consortium. So we have about 16,000 English learners, about 70 languages spoken here. Our top languages are Ilocano, Turquoise, Marshallese, Tagalog, and Spanish. So we have a lot of the Pacific Island languages. And then we do have a seal of biliteracy for kids who are bilingual. They can earn an extra sort of diploma or degree for being bilingual. And I do have a little question coming in here with this slide. I'm not really good at my Pear deck, as you can tell. Okay, so the slide was about why should we share? So this is the whole idea with this presentation is, why should we share? Okay, so I have a number of statements here, and you can draw a circle around what you agree with in the Pear deck. Okay, so we have scaffolds and supports needed. There's some pandemic effects, and some of our students have been absent or in quarantine. We need to reteach. There's immigration or migration, forced migration due to various reasons such as war, global warming, and jobs that parents need to take in other countries or states. And then we have expertise we can share. And in my state, there's a lot of teachers who are taking PD credits because it's part of the requirement for our state of Hawaii teachers in public education. And as we all know, there's not enough time as a teacher. So if we share, we can borrow. And what I actually would really hope we get to is the point of when we use each other's lessons, we would be able to add on to it additional scaffolds or supports and share it back into the community. So that's the goal for me, which I say is a chicken skin moment, or a moment that really makes me feel very excited, like goosebumps. Okay, so going back to this. So there was I'm sharing the wrong version. Okay, so with this one, for me, if I'm going to do a Pear deck and circle, what I might want to do is choose my color, right? And then I'll go ahead and I'll say, this is an important reason for today, immigration and migration, okay? I have a previous session that I did on the same topic, but hopefully I've expanded. I gave a little link there to my previous session. And really this link goes to a bunch of lessons that teachers in Hawaii have done. And I really like some of this because this is where the idea came for us at the start of the pandemic, was to start sharing with each other. So as teachers learned how to use virtual resources, we started sharing sessions with each other. So this is all the sessions that have occurred over maybe about a 2-year span since we started the pandemic. Okay, so my idea is sharing is caring. Okay, so if you're in Hawaii, I have a specific Google form for people to use. If you're anywhere in the globe, there's another Google form where people can submit. And there's a Google Data Studio report. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that and how to search with that. But really, I'm hoping, okay, I'm hoping that we will share lessons with a variety of scaffolds and supports. And I'm just going to go to that because I'm going to go to this. So scaffolds and supports, and I get some of this is from WIDA, copyrighted materials, and from focus bulletins, and just the idea of supports, and mostly sensory, graphic, and interactive supports. So those are your strategies or tools, and then your scaffolds, right? Building on what students already know to get to the new skills. So I have some excerpts there for scaffolds, but then I also wanted to go to supports. And this is actually adapted from a WIDA resource, which was a lesson plan. And what I did is in the, in the domains, you can mark off what domains you're using and add this to your lesson plans. So it focuses on the same areas that WIDA Consortium does, which is sensory supports, graphic and interactive supports, but I also added on a column for linguistic support here. And then some of the excerpted portions from WIDA. Okay, so in the next slide, I do have a math lesson example, and I'm just gonna do that pretty quickly to give you a little lesson that I worked on. Okay, so this is a sample math lesson that I created based on, conversion. So they're trying to convert units. And I also have a blank sample lesson plan link at the top. But what I really like to use within this are some of the resources here, like the academic language objective. And I kind of have some questions as I go along in this lesson plan, and also incorporating some UDL into it. There's some links with UDL. So I'm hoping, that we can work on content and language objectives provided in writing. So I have my math content standards derived from Common Core. And then what do my students need to do or say to develop English language proficiency? That observable target. I created a language objective and I used that from this resource. Okay, so there's some samples on writing a language objective there, but I really do like this building leveled academic language objectives from Hamline University. And what I like about it is the plug and play nature of it.
Sorry, could you say that again?
My watch is talking to me, sorry. So they have word, sentence, and discourse level, and they have, the different color-coded portions of it, which is the language target. The function is in red, and then they have some example language in blue and the supports. So the nice part about it too is they have objectives and samples in the different functions categorized. So this is how I wrote my my language objectives, was using this. Okay, so from these content objectives, Academic language objectives were created. So I have 2 language objectives, comparing, and the other one is converting. So it's written in the same color-coded format for the objective. And then I have the, supports listed there, X'd off. So I want them to use pairs and partners, small groups. I have these sensory supports, and I didn't write this, but I did have some transcription in some of it. I've written some sentence frames here. And then I'm thinking about vocabulary, the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. And then I have a key term, convert, with that. And I looked at my vocabulary, I'm thinking, and that's a lot of vocabulary to give an English learner. So I do have to make some decisions for different proficiency level students. And then for sensory supports, I have a picture file card, but I also have some graphic supports like a chart and some linguistic supports. So if you have a source text and so on. But this is really the meat of the problem. Is I'm going to go into my first section of the lesson is to circle a store that has the cheapest price for milk. So this is, gallons of milk per week, and there's some prices here. And then the next question has to do with using a weekly sales ad. So using that, you have a sale now, and now it's 99 cents per quart of milk. So now they have to convert the quarts into gallons. And I have some supports listed there, the picture, there's some transcribed videos from Khan Academy. I give a little hint about how to get to the transcription. And then, there's other Google searches you could do. You could start converting some units with your partner. Question and answer using some frames here. And then once you have some new cells, add information, you discuss your solution. There's student discourse move cards that come from doing and talking math and science here. That's really nice. And then the end result is, here's another ad and another item. And then you're trying to figure out what store you'd purchase the item at and why. But the most important question is, why is it important to know how to convert measurement units and to give an example from your life? So this is hopefully a very realistic, relevant type of lesson. And I want to think about the type of conversation I want my students to have, and to really have that academic discourse between the pairs or in small groups. So I'm really trying to focus on what do I want them to say and their partners. Okay. And then from there, if we're analyzing vocabulary, teachers can do it ahead of time and prep what vocabulary to use. But also what I like to do is, if I had a sample math text, a digital text, right? And I copy that text. And then I went into WordSift, which is one of my favorite sites. And I pasted that and I sifted it. Then what I like about it is it will give me the most frequently occurring vocabulary terms. And I can also sort the words. I can sort it by academic word list. So those are your tier 2 cross-curricular terms. And then I can also sort for math, with Marzano and Pickering's list. And then from there, I can make some educated decisions about what to focus on. So if I went to convert, that word would then show in the bottom with a visual thesaurus. And there's a little bit, sometimes there's a little definition that sometimes pops up, but you can see the words and related words, images. Oh, now the images are showing up. Before it never showed up before, and then it stopped showing, but now it's showing again. There's also a link to videos here, but every time this word convert is used, it shows up as it is in the sentence. It's used in the text. And then this is an easy way to get to creating some sentence frames or stems if you needed to. So that's one of the things I like to use is WordSift. Okay, so I have a little explanation, and there's some other supports and stuff I have listed below that. Okay. So that was a little sample math lesson. Let me see if I can figure out this. Zoom is a little interesting because sometimes it covers the top of your bar. Okay. So that was a little math lesson. That's a sample. And what I originally started with was a Padlet. So my Padlet here, it has, you know, this same sharing information is in this first column. And so anything I found that was like, I thought was a compendium type of resource, I put in that column. Here's, you know, different training slides or that I've conducted or had a part in, videos and so on. Here's a sample ed puzzle, teaching L's column, lesson plans, content resources, presentation, translation, multilingual, and so on. It kind of goes on, and it's very long and deep, but there's a lot in there, and it can be kind of overwhelming and time consuming to look through. The thing I do like about Padlets though is the visual nature of it, that you can put a little, you know, snippet of a picture to give a hint of what's going on there. Okay, but what I started learning about was from Twitter, Google Data Studio. Okay, so when I did this from last summer, I think before the pandemic or during the pandemic, and I started seeing all these people who have these Google Data Studios. And what it is it's a free Google, sort of like a website or an app. Anybody familiar with that? I can't see everybody, but okay, so here's an example of one, okay, the one that I like. So in there's a Google Data Studio report collection. So my Google Data Studio is the first link there, but there's others here, okay, that you can look through. The other one that I do like is somebody, her name is, Twitter handle is @DenTechnology. So she has Data Studio for schools. She has some different samples. And what I like about hers is she'll put an example data source, because you'll need a data source like a Google data sheet in order to make this Google Data Studio report. So if she has a class dictionary, So she has the word definition, translation, and image link, or she has student-made dictionary. So she might have links to forums here that everyone can view. So there's things that you can take from others, and if they allow you to edit, you can make your own, okay? Word and images, and so on. So she has some samples there. But from these kind of ideas, I started thinking about, you know, the downside of a Padlet is you can't search it, right? It's hard to search. So what I did is I created, using the basic portion of it was from my Padlet. So that fed a lot of the Google Data Studio. But also what I'm doing is on Twitter, I do things that I see that are lessons or resources that I like, I'll tweet it or retweet it, right? So that's my little cache of savings of things that I might want to later on put into this Google Data Studio. So from here in my Google Data Studio, I kind of wanted to show you what it looks like. Okay, so in this, and there's some work that I still need to do to clean it up, because if you notice, some of the links are not in the correct place. So I have to kind of work on, because where it occurred in the Padlet might not be in the correct column for the Google Data Studio, okay, DDS. So there's some things to do, but what's nice about this is you can look for grade level, right? Or you could look for the subject. So I tried to put in some categories here. You could look at what type of lesson or resource or tech tool, or the source. So there's some different sources here. So there's some things to look at. So if I wanted to look at videos only, right, it should then come up with only videos. And then to get rid of the video filter, I'll have to uncheck it so it goes back to everything. Okay, and then I also tried to do a little bit of a contains or equals. You can do different searches within it. Okay, so that's the Google Data Studio report. And I didn't give you any time yet to really explore on your own, but hopefully we can have a little bit of time. And if you can look at some of these sources, I'd like to eventually get to this question. If you found something you can use or adapt, and then if you have, you might want to reply in a sentence frame. Yes, I found a great resource or lesson about, and then no, I haven't found anything yet, but you know, here's where I want to look, or this is something I'd like to share. And then hopefully we can get to the point of, would you like to share a lesson or resource? And this is the Google Data Studio, not Google, but Google form for that. And with this, I have the links there, and then you can put your submit by name, your other contact information, if you'd like to include that, your school or organization, the grade levels that it applies to, the title of the resource or lesson, and link to it, and then the source. So if it's another person or organization that's created or authored, published it, then we'd like to note that. Okay, and the type and subject. So these are the same categories that show up in the Google Data Studio. Okay, so that is what the form looks like. And then these are some slides on Twitter of who I like to follow. These are people that are constantly posting resources. So this is another slide to check out, as well as some of these hashtags on Twitter. There's a lot of good stuff. And I really think that was just the silver lining of the pandemic was educators around the world were really sharing a whole lot of things with each other. And I know as someone who is really learning how to do that virtual learning and virtual presentations for all the teachers that I was working with, it was such a big help to have all of these resources. These are Facebook groups that I'm in that also have a lot of resources posted. This is another source that I get stuff from. And then I have more resources there, including I have Canva here, and they have free educator accounts if you're a K-12 school. And they also even have templates to show support for Ukraine on there that you can use for free. Okay, so I kind of gave you the quick overview of what the slides are about, but I wanted you to go back and have some time to look at any of the resources that have been shared so far. And as a reminder, we do have, where is it? I don't know what my link is. Oh yeah, here. Okay, so we do have this sort of a parking lot or a document, and it kind of goes through the different things that have been shared a bit, which is the Pear deck. The link is there. Scaffolds and supports, or the language supports, the types of supports that we're hopefully going to find within the Google Data Studio report. And then the math conversion was a sample that I did, the academic language objectives, the Padlet, and the report is here too, Data Studio. And then hopefully we can get to the sharing of what did you find anything that you thought was useful. Okay, so if you can, and if you do have the or don't have the join link to the Pear deck, it is student pace, so you can go through any of it, but I'd like to give you about 5 minutes to check on something, and then maybe we can have a little bit of discussion, and then we'll see if we have more time to go into other resources. Okay, does that sound okay with everybody? So hopefully we can get to this question after the 5 minutes. And feel to talk or put something in the chat. Thank you, Sally. I do like WordSift and how it can sort the words for you as either academic word list or journal surface list. It's very helpful to me because there's so many times where teachers, I don't think, know exactly what are the vocabulary words and what tier do they fall in. And this will help them make some decisions for their different proficiency level students.
Thank you I forgot the, I forgot the label for the second list, general service. Yeah. Is this commonly, do you refer to the academic word list and the general service list in Ukraine? This is something I've heard a lot, not so much recently, but like Paul Nation. This was quite a while ago. Paul Nation gave a talk at the Hawaii TESOL conference. His whole talk was on these vocabulary word lists and the usefulness of developing activities based on these lists and knowing which words are important for our students to learn. These days, I think I see a little more on collocations. Yeah.
I like Paul Nation's works, and there's a lot of, he has a really good site. I think that's his site, and you can find like paragraph frames off of it. You can sort by different levels of academic word lists. So it's pretty helpful things.
Yes, he has a lot of I've found very useful but accessible material. So that's Paul Nation. I'm not sure I understand the parking lot.
Oh, so the parking lot is sort of like a place where you can ask questions, or I can respond, or others can respond. So it is an editable document for everybody, and it's almost like a shell of an agenda in a way, but also gives a kind of a formalized way to respond or ask questions and not just have it in the chat. So it kind of allows me to go through according to the sections. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, great. I see somebody enjoyed the Pear deck and Google Data Studio, and I don't know how to pronounce everybody's name. I'm sorry. So Ludmila, I'm not sure. Sorry. Okay, great. And Arinya said it's a great resource about convenient arranging the materials. So thank you. I hope either the Padlet or the Google Data Studio is something that could be helpful, but really, right now it's things that I've found, and it's just my biased view of the resources that are out there. And I really hope it would grow with everybody's experience and knowledge, that we can make it a bigger and better thing, that it would really become worldwide. And I'm trying to learn Pear Deck. I'm not really good at it. I think you guys could see that, but I want to be able to make the presentation a little bit more interactive. So that was the attempt anyway. So the thing I also do is when I usually end the student session, then what I'll do is put up some of the answers that were shared as separate slides into the deck, and then I'll reshare it. So I will edit the slides and repost that with the new sharing from everybody. So that could be another way we can get some feedback from everyone and ideas from everyone. Okay. So did anyone want to share anything they found? I see some people are writing in the chat, but anybody want to share orally? Anything they found that might be useful, or if you've actually gone ahead and filled out the Google form and submitted something to our Data Studio report? That's awesome.
Or maybe someone has used Pear Deck or one of the other things mentioned today in a different way that you'd like to share with us.
So it is 6:50. I think we're ending at 7. Is that correct? Okay, I see. And am I saying your name right? Marina?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
People say that for many of them it's a very new resource, and many are just surprised.
To learn about Google
Yeah.
Data Studio.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it, to me, it is, I mean, the one person that I have on this slide about Google Data Studio, where is he? Okay, so and I'm just gonna make this bigger. So this person, Chris Smith, when I was trying to convert, because it's a whole process to go from a Padlet, and then in Padlet, there's a way to make it into, what is it? You can export it. See this export right here? So when you export, it will export it into, right? You can share it in different ways, but you can also save it as an Excel spreadsheet. And from that spreadsheet, what you can then do is, of course, dump it into Google, right? So like for me, we have Google for Education accounts here in Hawaii. So I dumped that into Google and made it to a sheet. Once you have the sheet, there are some little technicalities to make that then into a Google Data Studio report. But this person, Chris Smith, he actually has a course. So I'm still in the process. I've registered for it. I haven't gotten through very much of it, but just from what I've seen from him on Twitter, and I did ask him for some help, he was able to give me some few pointers so that I could create the report. And also, you know, I had some tech specialists in my state that also helped me to make it. But there's a little bit of coding. So like in this report, let's see, where is it? Okay, so this is my Google Data Studio report as a sheet. So what I have is my Padlet. That's the main source of what I've taken from to input into this Google Data Studio report. But then I also had, and I had to make these similar columns, right? Otherwise they won't compress, because that's all I know how to do. I don't know how to select different columns from different sheets yet. So the other sheet came from what people submitted from Hawaii, right? Within the Hawaii DOE. And then the other tab was what people submitted in globally. So all I did is I tested it, right? So I tested it myself with my own private Gmail account to see if it worked and make sure it worked. Then from these three sheets, the Padlet, the Hawaii form to the sheet, the global form to sheet, there's a combine tab. And this is what feeds into the Google Data Studio report. So if anybody put in a new item, it would show up, and it would actually show up as the most recent thing on the top. That's kind of how it factors in there. It goes funneled right up to the top, but that's the fun of it. But there's just so much you can learn if you want to try to make this. And there's so many different reports because people will do this in different ways. Okay. So like this report, I also like is because, but the thing I don't like about this is the links are not, don't seem to be open outside of their organization, but you can see how they formatted it, which to me is really fun because you can start thinking about how you would want to design your own report that would be more powerful than just a Google Sheet. Okay, so this person has leaderboards, you know, which teacher, school, or tech tool is in the lead. I think the teacher of the week is empty. There's the trending, what's the trends and what's been submitted and so on. But it's kind of fun because they might have a different contests on what are students creating with technology in your classroom. So you can format it in whole different ways. But in Google Data Studio itself, when you go to it, you can see there's a plus here for creating. And this is how you can create your own. And there's so many. The ones I showed you originally are only educational ones. This is used in, and then, you know, this is mine. So it shows what I've looked at as far as Google Data Studio reports. It'll show up here. But there's a lot of people who are just sharing different reports and how to make them. So you can look there for templates, and sometimes you can copy and use if you like the format. So really neat, just worldwide sharing. So this is just another format for sharing. And you can make it as visual with as many charts and bells and whistles as you want. And what I like about this is there's other visualization, data visualization reports, but this is the one that's free to me, right? I can use this already, and I don't have to ask my district or school to purchase it for me. So this is why I went with this. And I think because it's Google, it's very open and it works very well with Google Suite tools. Okay, so I kind of went on a little rambly tangent there. I hope that was okay. Okay, so the plan is that I will go back, share some of hopefully what people shared within, if I can, I don't know if I can copy the chat. Sometimes I can't copy the chat, but I do like to keep the chat because sometimes that's helpful. No, that's not working here. Okay, and if we can also go to, oh, I have a couple more slides on Canva too at the very end, but there is an exit ticket in case you'd like to give me any suggestions or comments. And this requires your first name, and everything else is optional other than, you know, a rating on if this helped you understand more about scaffolds and supports, or if you're able to access lessons and resources and learn how to share them. And then as well as any comments, questions, or next steps are there. So I will go ahead and see if I can first paste this chat. And then I'll put the link in there. Sometimes that's helpful to have the chat. And oh. And that's an exit ticket if you'd like to fill that out. And I can stay on for more time if anybody has any questions, or if you all would like to say hi to each other. Or
Yes.
yeah, 1 minute left.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. And our TESOL Ukraine president, Elena Ivyenko, will say her final word. Meanwhile, please, everyone type your names and your emails into the chat. so that later we could send you the certificates.
Thank you, Marina. Thank you, everybody, for coming. And on behalf of TESOL Ukraine participants, all people present today, and the people who have visited all the webinars organized in solidarity with people of Ukraine by TESOL Hawaii people, presenters. I would like to express my gratitude to all the presenters, to Sally, our long-lasting friend. We are so much thankful to you for sharing your ideas, revolutionary ideas. I'm a bit shocked after today's webinars, really, as I felt that, as you mentioned, you said so much we can learn, and I've realized that how much we should learn to be at the cutting edge of teaching English in the modern world. So revolutionary, awesome presentation. Thank you very much. And I believe that when we master all these new techniques, and we will, I'm sure in future, it will change completely our teaching style. I believe that in our further teacher development institutes, we will use all these ideas and perhaps all the elements of your today's presentation. They need detailed understanding, description of how, maybe hands-on practice of how to do it. And I believe that it will be very useful for all of us. We will try to keep on and master all these skills. Thank you for sharing your ideas. And I believe that next year, TESOL Ukraine will be able to have our all-Ukrainian convention, and we will invite people, our partners, long-lasting friends, people from Hawaii, to take part in our convention and present your ideas in a year as well. Thank you again for your support, for your solidarity, for your friendship, and all this, I believe, has helped us to get through the dark days for my country and focus on our professional development, on the thing which we really like, and we believe it is one of the most important things for every teacher. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Sally, for organizing this series of wonderful, brilliant webinars. Sally is the author of the idea for this series of webinars, and the first person from abroad who called and suggested her help. Thank you, everybody, for your support and understanding.
Well, I just have to jump in and thank you, Joanne. I realized how far behind I am when it comes to technology. And
No, we're all learners.
yes, and thank you, Marina, for moderating, for recording, for all of the help with organizing these. Olena, thank you for all your kind words and for being here for each one of these. And I thank you all for attending these. I apologize for the technological glitches we've had over the course of them, but thank you to all of you for attending. You are amazing.
Yes. Thank you. I
Thank
don't know what all the good and bad that's going on there. We can't know, you know, the highs and lows that you're going through, but yeah, we're thinking about you all throughout the world, hoping you and your students are safe as much as possible.
Thank you for your support so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And may I just have a word? If we get back to the team presentation that we made at that conference at 2 a.m., and if you remember, the title was Teaching English at the Times of War and Uncertainty, I would really say that we appreciate your effort to give us some piece of peace in the time of war, and the peace of certainty that everything will be okay. So really, thank you very much. This is really meaningful for all of us, and we do appreciate really your real support, your real concern, and your real praise for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
That we can do there.
Okay, great. Thanks to
Great.
everyone, and thank you for your participation, and thank you for your support, and I hope you'll stay safe, and just wishing you peace and safety, and we all believe that everything will be okay. Yeah. So thank you, and yeah.
Thank
See you
you.
at other events.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you all. Stay well.
Thank you. I'll be in touch with you, Sally, to send you, any update on the slides
Okay, thank you again, Joanne.
and send that over to Verna.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
I know.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Mhm.